about the formation of your company.
Yes.
So just wherever you guys want to start with that, but how did that come into being? And I just would love to hear how the two of you got.
So, Darlene and I were both working in corporate jobs and feeling a little beat up on just the leadership styles and the difference of values between how we value ourselves and the people around us as opposed to then what was how we were being treated. And it was something that I found myself driving home on the 405 after work, crying, multiple times a week. I would go home, I would find myself on my kitchen floor crying because I was trying to protect my team at the same time trying to make my leadership team happy, and it was starting to affect my health. It was starting to affect so much about just kind of where I was in life. And so her and I talked, and at the time it was just not even a dream really, it was just a conversation that we had about, wouldn't it be amazing if we weren't in this position and we were the ones who were making these decisions? And we would joke and we'd say, this is common sense, how you should treat your team and how you should value them and respect them. And so, believe it or not, then after probably a year of talking about that, we had the opportunity, and that was something that, when I originally started Use Your Centimeter, it was something that just kind of happened and so quickly was like, hey mom, if I'm gonna do this, jump on, let's do this together, let's build this. You have this background that I could never imagine with her MBA and being so detail oriented and knowing how to do the simple things of forming an LLC or opening up a business bank account and things that, we were even told, well, you should hire a lawyer to do these things and you should pay somebody $10,000 to do X, Y, and Z. And she says, no, I can figure this out. I'll pick up like LLC for Dummies or something and figure out how to do this on our own. And we did. And, it's been so amazing because it was, again, just another realization that we could do this and we could figure out on our own. And the people who, we reached out to for help were there to help, and it was lovely, but it was also just as invigorating for us to say, you know what, no, we can figure this out, and what should have cost, or told us we would cost $10,000 cost us like $80.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that. I think that's going to be a through line of just your creativity, your resourcefulness, and all those. I wanted, before we get into more of kind of the foundation of your company, the pain before that.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit to like what was it that was like beating you down so strongly? What were some of the like elements of that?
Definitely. So I had a sales team of about nine team members, and I loved them dearly. I would have done anything for them, and I felt that in the position that our company was in at the time, we had new leadership come in, and we just looked at things differently, and we valued our people differently. And I felt that, I guess the best way to put it is that I was this umbrella over top of them, just getting pounded every day, and I'm trying to protect them, kind of put them to a little bit behind closed doors so they wouldn't have to see what was actually happening. I didn't want them to fear of losing their job or feel that they weren't being valued because I valued them. And at the end of the day, it was going to be my decision of what happened. And that was really emotional for me because I took their fears home with me, I took their pain home with me, I took their success home with me, everything. And so not being able to be in control of their future was really hard for me. And so when we talked about having this company, so much of it was because I wanted to be able to control what happened to our team, and knowing that if they worked hard and we work hard, that we don't do like scheduled bonuses and things. If we have a great month, we just give our people more money because they're there with us, and we are the ones who determine what that looks like, as opposed to having to go through somebody else who they're controlling the purse strings. We do, and that's very important to us.
It's beautiful. When you were when this was coming in, what was the decision for you to go ahead and make the leap?
So about the time I ended up moving into the corporate world of healthcare, I almost felt like my bubble was burst. Like you feel sometimes the higher up you obtain in your career, the more you're going to be able to impact the people underneath you, and that definitely is not the case. So a lot of it in the corporate world I felt was truly going against my ethics and values on why did I become a nurse? Why did I become a leader? And so for that, it just wasn't the same. And also in the type of position that I was in, I worked for physicians, so for critical care physicians, and a lot of myself and critical care nurses and physicians were all little type A personalities. And so I'm a nurse coming in, having oversight of intensivists, who are the critical care trained physicians, and having to mentor and lead them, but then also be like, hey, okay, we can't do this. And so there definitely was a hierarchy within our level of physician nurse. And yet, even though from the healthcare side, I was very powerful in my position when I had oversight of nurses, but as soon as I moved up and had oversight of physicians who were 80% men, it really changed.
Yeah.
And I think too, being a nurse, my values are very, very strong, and I've always let them guide me. And so I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
So you were at a point too, like this just isn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you go all the way through, get your MBA
Yeah.
with the intention of helping even more people
Absolutely.
get to the next layer of
Yeah.
corporate America, and realize that
Yeah.
that's just not going to be the case.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe, so when this happened, when this made sense, like, or was there?
So
was
not
there
really, no. It's still, like, she asked me, because she was like, I don't know how to do the business stuff and the financials. I'm like, well, my MBA is in healthcare. I don't really either, but we'll figure it out. I mean, we're smart enough to figure it out. And that was the case. I have many books for dummies that are in my bookcase, and I love to be well read, and I'm very self-taught. And that was sort of how it started. So first I was like, well, I'm a little bored and doing what I'm doing. And so I was traveling a lot. So I thought, well, when I'm traveling, I'll just work on the contracts, and I'll figure out how to do the LLC. So for me, it ended up starting out just as let me help you. And my goal as a mother has always been, as a mom, you do what you need to do, and you put the steps in place so that your kids can grow to be beautiful adults. So one day when I die, they're perfectly okay. And that has always been my mission. And so that was more of how I was looking at this on, let me help you be successful. And I think that's even how I've taken my whole life or my career on, what can I do for you so that you can be successful.
There's a very givingness about
Yes.
you, right?
Yeah.
Of service, which you kind of said in your definition
Yeah.
of success, being of service.
Mm-hmm.
So this happens. It becomes
Yeah.
real. And then can you speak a little bit about how the mission and the values of your organization?
I mean, exactly what Darlene said. It was just, we probably just sat down and had a glass of wine one night and said, okay, maybe two. What does this look like, and who do we want to have on our team? And as we go out into the world, what are we trying to change or do? And I mean, it was about a 30-second conversation. We both kind of looked at each other and shook our heads like, yep, okay, we know what that's going to be. And it's just how we've always been, that, do things with high integrity, take care of people, give people a voice who, maybe are afraid to, protect people who need to be protected, but also, push people that there's, you can do the we called like the mom route, where, Darlene's been very good with me over the years of, doing enough to protect me, but always pushing me just enough where it was either I break or I thrive. And thankfully, I had the values growing up and instilled in me that I could make the decisions the way that, I'm proud to say that I have. And that's so much of, when we really thought about what we wanted to do and what our voice was in the world, was just, work with people that had the same values as we did. And so much of that is like the true leadership side of being authentic and helping people and working side by side, as opposed to telling them what to do. I think, what really makes us a little bit unique is we're extremely hands-on. So when we go and we do sales training seminars or workshops, we're physically in the field with our team. So we show them how to canvas and do food tastings and how to go out and drum up business, and we work some of their fundraising events, and we are literally there in the kitchen with them, building their orders and showing them, you know, kind of how we would see things, and it just helps. It gives them that like fresh set of eyes, and you know, when we think about, as we continue to grow, so much of it is thinking about how we walk with them through the whole process, and we're an extension of them, as opposed to just telling them what to do, because that's not.
You know, and I think those kind of words get thrown out quite a bit, like, and watered down, like, oh, we'll walk with you and do that, but when it actually happens,
We literally do.
You're literally doing it.
We literally do it.
And you guys speak so much of values. I just want to kind of hone in on that for a second. It's obviously important because both of you have brought it up, but what is the role of values in both a company or working with clients? How do you keep that present, or how do you see the role and the position of values?
I know the one thing that her and I have really stayed true to in regards to like a company on, you know, even though, as you know, we could have been so broke, and you know, we had a couple companies that had approached us that were just not
and
on
I will
our
say
same
they were
page.
my they were also my favorite brands, my personal favorite brands that I loved and would have died to work with. But continue. But I just want to throw that little tidbit in of what I saw from the outside would have been,
Which you
if I thought that we would have had a slam dunk for a client, it would have been a couple of those brands, and their values did not align with ours, and it was something that we were just starting out, and we knew that within the first, you know, conversation, that it wasn't something that we were going to put ourselves in, because, you know, we finally had the choice.
Right.
That we could say we're going to work well together, and we're going to grow these companies together. But if our values don't align, no dollar amount is worth it.
And we don't want them tarnishing our reputation either, because our reputation is really important to us.
Sure.
And you know, we feel as long as we always do the right thing